watch and burn.
Hey everybody, so tonight I'm going to be discussing the 1988 film Bat 21, starring Danny Glover and Gene Hackman, and Jerry Reed. About this much. Jerry Reed, he plays Colonel Walker, if memory serves, and he's not in the movie a lot. Initially, the reason that I watched this movie, I wanted to check this movie out, was because of Jerry Reed. I love Jerry Reed, and I'm glad that his acting career complements his musical career quite well. Jerry Reed was a strong actor. He was a really good actor. He was a lot of fun in everything that he's been in. But that was, like I said, my initial reason for checking this out was because he was in this. But no, overall, this is a great Vietnam movie. It tells a story of Gene Hambleton. I can't remember his first name. Gene is his nickname. His last name's Hambleton, I'm pretty sure. And he gets lost in the jungles of Vietnam while he's actively being hunted by the Viet Cong. And his only lifeline back to safety, I suppose, is Bird Dog, who is played by Danny Glover. He's the guy in the sky who's flying around doing recon, trying to locate where Gene is. All the while, Gene, like I said, is being hunted by the Viet Cong because they know that there is an American pilot somewhere in the area, and they are actively searching for him. And I loved this movie. I loved how I felt like I was lost in the jungle with Hambleton. Every time I say Gene, I think of Hackman, and it's almost like I'm not using the character's name, so I sort of get screwed up. But I loved how I felt like I was in there with it. And then this movie does something that I just did not see coming at all. It did two things, actually, that I did not see coming at all. One, when he's sort of like scavenging and he's looking around for like emergency supplies, of course, because he has no food, he has no water, and then naturally he has no shelter. And he always has to stay moving because the Viet Cong, they know the area way better than he does. And like I said, they are actively hunting him. He comes across this family's little sort of this area where this family's living. Like they have a structure where they're living inside of this kind of like makeshift hut, and they have a bunch of food in there and that, of course. And so when this Vietnamese family of farmers aren't home, Gene happens upon it, and he starts to sort of help himself to everything in there. And then, of course, the parents and the son come back from whatever it was they were doing, and they find him there. And you see that the son has a horrible amount of napalm burns, like scars from napalm, from the Americans napalming, sorry. And then Hambleton and the father get into it physically, and Hambleton is forced to kill the father in self-defense, of course, but he does this in front of the guy's wife and son, who, as we can tell from the son's napalm burns, they've already been traumatized enough by what the Americans have done to the French and the Americans have done to their country for the past 20 some odd years at this point. If I'm not mistaken, the French went in the 50s, and then they asked the Americans for their help in the 60s. I hope I'm getting that right. I think that's what happened. So the Vietnamese people have suffered under this Western attempt at oppressing them for just about 2 decades at this point. And now this family is further subjected to more trauma by way of Hambleton, having to defend himself, which I'm not blaming him for this. You have to do what you have to do in order to stay alive. But he does kill the kid's father and the woman's husband in front of them. And that was incredibly affecting, emotionally speaking. The other thing the movie did that I really liked was he comes across this little kid who could just start screaming, "Hey, the Americans here, the Americans here." But the kid doesn't. The kid actually kind of trades with him a little, and he lets him go, and the kid walks off his way, and Hambleton walks off his way, and the kid didn't say anything. So I thought that was really cool, too. I suppose my only real complaint here about this movie is the real rescue, if I'm not mistaken, took like 11 or 12 days, whereas this is sort of the Reader's Digest version of that. This is the condensed version. And it feels like Hambleton's only lost out there for 2 or 3 days at most, when, like I said, in reality, this happened to him for almost 2 weeks. And at the end of the movie, it doesn't give nearly enough information. I was expecting this movie to kind of go into the area of a low-key biopic, at least concerning how the film was going to end, and it was going to give an immense amount of information regarding who Gene Hambleton was, who Bird Dog was maybe, and talked about them a little bit more. Did they develop some sort of friendship or whatever? And then, like, it would give more backstory and more information regarding exactly what Hambleton went through. But it doesn't. There's just a few quick this and that's. If I'm not mistaken, it makes a joke about Hamilton going back to the world to play golf or something, if memory serves. I think that happens at the end of this movie, or Christ, I'm confusing it with another movie. And if I am, my apologies. But yeah, there just wasn't enough info regarding the real ordeal at the end, and I was really hoping that they would have done that more. But nevertheless, this is an amazing movie made from the 1980s to do with the Vietnam conflict. There were a bunch of those coming out in the 80s. I mean, you had Full Metal Jacket, you had Platoon, you had the Hanoi Hilton, and then I'm sure there's more that I just can't think of right now. Hamburger Hill, there's another one. There's more than that, I just can't think of them. But this was amazing. This was a lot of fun. It was scary as hell, and I just wish that they had elaborated more on the actual story at the end of the film. And that's it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for just about 6 minutes while I discussed the 1988 film Bat 21, starring Gene Hackman and Danny Glover and Jerry Reed for like this much. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is so much more fun because you are in it, no matter what it is you're going through right now. Just don't give up. It's going to get better, and things are going to improve, and you're going to be feeling good again at some point. Just don't stop believing. Ooh, that was like a bad reference to Journey at the end there. I didn't mean it like that. I meant really don't stop. Whatever. Have a good day.